Alright. Do we have volume? OBS is telling me we have volume. Can you hear me now? I don't know what went wrong there. I super do not. Such volume, much noise. Alright. Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome to Tabletop Obscura presents the Draconic Codex for the second fucking time. I'm gonna blame this on OBS. Much wonderful voice, so thank you. So, for those who aren't aware, the Draconic Codex is probably, I think it is the latest release from... Paizo? Or at least the latest major release. And it covers the dragons. Now, a lot of people have kind of gone into like the separate dragons and things like that. I kind of want to talk about the gods tonight. But I also kind of want to cover the some of the player options involved as well. Because we did get a lot of new dragons. And some of them got a pretty hefty glow up. For existence, this is Apsu, which is the Galarian god for dragons. He is the god of virtuous dragons. And he looks so much better now. So to explain, because Pathfinder was originally in OGL and 3.5, there was a little bit of a crossover with Bahamut and Tiamat. And with the OGL crisis and having to develop their own license and everything else like that, some of the gods had to be redone. Apsu's existed since PF1. However, Tiamat is now proper gone. As somehow hardened to team color coded dragons for my convenience, sell you on the dragons. What is one of the big ones? I mean, this is the one people have been showing a lot. That's the Mocking Dragon. The Resurrection Dragon. The Resurrection Dragon. Look at him, ain't he goopy? Like, the art they've done for these is kind of amazing. Stick it with your red, green, blue. All right. How about the Delight Dragon? Can I sell you on the Delight Dragon? How about the Wish Dragon? Just show you one dragon that doesn't look wrong. I mean, the Wish Dragon looks fine. What's the problem with the Wish Dragon? Wish. It grants wishes. As a shell. They want a pretty dragon. See, my definition of pretty is different to what most people would consider pretty, I think. I kind of like the Vorpal dragon. I think the Vorpal dragon's pretty. Or by pretty, do you mean you want a basic bitch dragon? Is that what we're asking for? Is that better? Like, that's a green dragon, essentially. Or do we have to go more basic? Okay. There you go. There's your basic red dragon. They married your boy? I think he looks fine. He's a red dragon. Funny clad, oh god. Dopey ass skinny bitch. Oh. Alright, fine. How about the coral dragon? I like the coral dragon. It reminds me of something you would find in Subnautica. Hey Sleepy, welcome on in. You missed the scuff! We had a bit of scuff at the start of stream. You're not going to with me, I think we established that. See, once again, we'd go through some of my favorites from it, but I don't think my favorites are what everyone else's favorites are. For instance, I love the Storm Crown. Was it elementals? Actually, it might have been elementals. Something fucking with the sound, that's true. Right. Salad Fingers Dragon, I'm sorry? Alright. If we want a proper nerd dragon. The dancing flanges? How about the sage dragon? Okay, now I have to ask. Why do you hate Cloud dragon? See, I kind of like the Sage Dragons though, just conceptually. Though I know a couple of people have been a little bit bothered by just how human their hands are. But Cloud Dragon, there we go. Not all gargoyles are hobos. Yeah, Cloud Dragon. All of them are dragons. All of them are dragons. No, it's true. The definition of dragon is pretty stretched. Those others are worms at best. Well, Dragonkin. Oh, oh, oof. And that's an Imperial Dragon. Because it looks like he skips leg day. What? I think they're called Sovereign Dragons now. If you want the lone boys. Yeah, this is your lone boys. Don't worry, they're still there. I love how much feelings you have about this. Brioxy. Well, we are supposed to be going through the Draconic Gods. Are there those dragon dogs? There is dragon dogs, but we can't go through them until about the halfway point when G-Wizard gets here. Because I promised I wouldn't go through all the player options until then. Because he has some feelings. And honestly, so do I. But the Draconic Gods. So we have a couple of them that have been refreshed for the Orc, for the remaster of Pathfinder. Others, we have just completely new ones. Some that have been replaced, some that have just we've never seen before. Absu's a pug bitch. Okay. Absu, the Waybringer. His areas of concern are leadership, peace, and virtuous dragons. Edicts are to seek and destroy evil, travel the world, help others fend for themselves. Anathema, fail to pursue a foe who has betrayed your mercy. Attack a creature without certainty of wrongdoing. Why would they change his symbol? It's fine. They just changed his, like, what he looked like, because he used to look bad. He used to look so bad. I hated old Absu. Oh. Yes, you can be a cleric of a Draconic God. A sacred animal? None. I think... Yeah, well, okay. They're your cleric spells. Your divine font is heal. And I do like that the favorite weapon is jaws or staff. You were about to say dragon. I was considering saying wyvern actually. But I don't think wyvern would be down with... I mean, I don't think Absu would be down with wyverns. But the reason Martyr's calling Absu a punk-ass bitch is because he's the good guy dragon. Why Vern? What did Vern do? Vern knows what he did. Never got a sequel to that book. Teats. Isn't Absu's big accomplishment he fought with Dahak? Like, that was his big thing. Father all dragons. Well. Things have become a little bit more complicated with the dragons on Galarian. But if you want to play your noble champion of dragons, your draconic champion, Absy's probably the best way to go. Especially if you want to lean into the good guy vibes. There's a litter who wishes to discuss breakage here. We don't need to talk about the Linorms. They didn't even make it into the Draconic Codex, so they can't be that good. Now, are we ready for the first of the nerd gods? I give you Brizari, the Wayward Sister. Okay, no, it goes more than that. Well, she's not so much... kind of. One, love that they look like a dragon. Two, someone had to make that hat. Well, okay, for starters, she's also got not earrings. And considering her size, that's a massive book. Dragon. Okay, that one's pretty good. But one of the things I love about Brizari, where is it? Though her power is great, Brizari prefers to remain in the shadows of her other siblings. She considers the libraries of Galarian her true hoard and often uses a humanoid avatar to spend her days among the university stacks. Brizari feels more comfortable conversing with mortals in this form, preferring quiet locations and conversations held in hushed voices. For those wise enough to see through her disguise, she is a gentle and generous deity. For those foolish enough to cross her, her wrath is swift and severe. Actually, the longer I look, the more here because of the hat. Well, it's the whole Idris Elba and Cats thing, isn't it? Susie took off the coat. It's like, why is he more naked now? Digital stair size? No. Avatar would be closest, but I'm pretty sure Avatar's pretty standardized for the size. I didn't know Weird had Wrath. But her favorite weapon is Tailless Star Knife as well. You'll find that a lot of these draconic gods have a favorite weapon as like a tail or a jaw attack or even the claws. I kind of think that's cool because there's some pretty trippy things you can do with Deadly Simplicity with that. No, that is actually true. Loaded app for special occasions? Yeah. But her areas of concern are libraries, the supernatural, and underdogs. Her edicts are to pursue knowledge even in the most unusual places, seek to understand that which cannot be explained, showing kindness to those who are weaker than the rest. The anathema, underestimate an enemy or an ally, treat those weaker than you unkindly. Her religious symbol is a deep purple gem-encrusted tome, and her sacred animal is the dragonfly. Look, I appreciate her because she uses my colors. Interesting with champion druid multi-class tier. Yes! Pretty much anything that does the shape-shifting stuff. Barbarians could do some pretty interesting things with it as well. Also some of the ancestries, they got the kobolds. Kobolds, lizard folk could do some pretty trippy things with it as well. Harm or heal. She does have a little bit of wrath going on. I think most of them have Summon Dragon as well. Thank you, Nightbot. But no Divine Sanctification either, so there you go. Well, considering her older brother. Speaking of, should we move on to Dahak? There is Dahak. The endless destruction. Why they use that pose? Belly rubs. Like, it's obviously a trap. Like, you might get one, maybe two scritches on that belly, but then you're getting torn to shreds. If there's anything for me to complain about, it's the pose. He looks like an opossum defending itself. Well, not playing dead, though. But if you want to play a more unholy, evil, or destructive worshiper of a draconic god, Dahak is the way to go. Areas of concern: destruction, greed, wicked dragons, edicts, kill dragons, destroy things at your whim, study past disasters. Anathema: spare a foe after you have chosen to kill them, forgive a slight, prevent the destruction of things that cannot be saved. It's just all about the destruction. He's never sat right with you because he hates dragons? Well, I think he just hates everything by the sounds of it. Like, I've never used Dahak as a deity before. And to be fair, I've never used any of the Draconic deities as features. I think Agents of Edgewatch, I mentioned Apsu. Like, some of the kobolds there were champions of Apsu. And a couple of clerics of Apsu as well. Some dragons want to see the world turn to ash. Yep. Yep, yep. It's in the text. Well, lots of fire. Must choose unholy, divine skill, athletics. Favorite weapon is the jaws of the whip. Timu Deathwing. Hey, G-Wizzer. Some say Dahak was doomed from the moment of his birth, simply for being the first dragon god bird of Sashalatu and Apsu, both of whom laid the weight of grand expectations upon his brow. This heavy crown of potential would eventually drive Dahak to fury, destruction, and an everlasting enmity for his father, Apsu. Well, okay, so if you make an evil champion of Dahak, and the edicts kill dragons, but you're worshipping your dragon, isn't that just kind of like fulfilling the prophecy in a way? Like, we're gonna punch God, our specific God, eventually. However, it didn't begin this way. Not long after his birth, Dahak worked with Apsu to fashion much of creation. Dahak was to shepherd new beings and oversee their progress, but he could sense his mother, Sashalatu's deep sadness that they, unlike her, were finite. He then decided to strive to make something that would lift her spirits despite its impermanence, and thus, through blissful hope and the hubris of ambition, Dahak fashioned a vast monument he called the Adamantine Edifice, within a little-used plane of existence. It cast a long shadow even though the sky was lightless, and upon it he carved the likeness of his parents. Aww! But the Adamantine edifice was not perfect, not in Dahak's eyes. The representations of Sashalatu and Apsu were but caricatures. Dahak destroyed the monument and tried again, and again, and again. In time, the plane in which Dahak worked became warped by the fury at his own creation rising within him. Each iteration was more twisted and tortured than the last. Oh god. Apsu rushed to the scene thinking some nameless danger had written itself into existence, but found Dahak in the middle of ruination. There was no grand work to showcase, only a tortured, hellish landscape. Apsu cleansed the area with his holy fires, meaning only to purge these atrocities from creation. Dahak saw this as betrayal and screamed loud enough to shake the multiverse. He lashed out in return, first against Apsu and then against his siblings. A grand conflagration burned through all the planes, and Apsu was forced to do battle against his son. In the end, Sashalatu stopped the blow that would kill Dahak, who retreated to the scorched plain, the morass from which all of hell would eventually spring. There he howled in torment and nursed his wounds until he was strong enough to strike out against Apsu. As the gods worked together to imprison Rovagug, Dahak confronted Apsu with a promise to burn his precious clarion in the same way Apsu destroyed Dahak's monument. And one day his fires will burn everything. Okay! Phew. See, the interesting thing here, however, is it's an adamantine edifice, so his fires burn hot enough to melt and work adamantine. So what players need to do is they need to light a forge with the fires of Dahak in order to work an adamantine weapon or make things out of adamantine. I mean, I can work with that, but that's me. But some would also say that he bears a resemblance to another infamous dragon in media. I can't remember which one it was. Make an adamantine statue of Dahak from that one on the craft roll to make him burn. No, that's how you draw him out from hiding. You present like an adamantine statue of him. The Team of Deathwing, there we go. But moving on, We have Gassam, the architect. Neltharion, if you want to get fancy, yeah. Make it and say it's from Apsu and you reunite the family. Aww. Don't like the face already? Nope. Why? What's wrong with them? Areas of concern: construction, self-actualization, legacies. Edicts are to build when it is asked of you, foster growth in others, meditate upon your actions. Anathema is to act without thinking, hesitate in the face of destructive forces, and refuse to change your ways. Divine attributes are constitution or intelligence, and the religious symbol is a bronze oval half oxidized. Sacred animals, the draft blizzard? Okay. He sounds lame. I think he sounds fine. Does look like a dragon sphinx though. He likes to build things. I can't get behind that. Like, his domains are cities, creation, and dragon. And toil. Went to Chlor and he said, it's a horn. You know what? So it can pull out those nails that have gone in wrong. But yeah, I can dig an architect god. Was looking for it would be voiced by Patrick Warburton. I'm not sure if that's an insult or not. Oh, he has some anxiety issues too. Gasham was conceived in the minds of Apsu and Sashalatu for a role other than the one he would inherit. He clung within his shell too long, fearful of what would be asked of him, fearful of his finite form in the presence of being so far grander than himself, and fearful of the fallibility that might see him shame his progenitors. Smothered within the egg, he mistook the cacophonous sounds which rattled through his being as the thunderous songs of his mother, only to emerge to find the desolation inflicted by Dahak upon all creation. The fingers are not doing it for me. I get it, needed for building, but still, that's understandable. I think the fingers are a little bit, I don't know, like... Because on the left-hand side, they definitely look a little bit more claw-like, but... Definitely chunky. But he's the one who took over from Dahak as the builder or the architect. In modern days, Gassam is viewed by most as little more than an esoteric deity worshipped by early civilizations before they seemingly inevitable decline. Some dragons, as well as the Draconics, who claim him to be their progenitor deity, view him as a god of personal potential and perseverance. To worship Gasham is not to supplicate at an altar, but to make grand works and carve an enduring legacy in the face of any doom yet to come. See, I like that. I can get behind that as an ideal. I mean, it's not as cool as some of the others, but I can still get behind that as an ideal. All right. No way, Rugel Dorn from the Emperor and TTS. Oh god. Gahaza. Oh wow, okay. So this is Gahaza, the Primal King. Can I see that face, please? You want a close-up of the face? There's the face. It is a face. Oh, you like this one? Timu Maritosk. Ah, oh, look. Ah. Of all the creatures and beasts I created for Sinclair's, I think Maritosk is the one I would try to claim back. I love that fucker so much. But his areas of concern are conflict, dominance, and hunting. His edicts are to act with mutual brutality. Let might make right, always boast of your victories. Oh, so this is why you like him, Mater. Anathema, act with humility, give mercy without supplication, die with grace. Religious symbol is a crown of teeth, tusks, horns, or antlers. Teeth, 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 teeth. Cleric spells are Noxious Vapors, Haste, and Impaling Spike. I mean, that's the symbol there. Definitely emerging of a couple of... favorite weapons of Jaws of the Spear. We can ignore the human teeth. His was the role of a smoldering menace, a predator who dwelt within obscuring miasma, ever in search of a worthy competitor. The role of predator and of prey were nebulous at this time, but Gahaza saw them made a fundamental in the bitter strife between his brother Dahak and his father Apsu. He watched with glee from between shadowed stars as the pair fought into the precipice of oblivion. It awoke something vicious and horrible in Gahaza's bilious heart. Such violence did not cause him to hesitate or to fear. It made him hungry. It was a joy unlike anything he'd ever known. In crude emulation, he replicated what he assumed was the source of conflict between his family. He claimed himself the primal king, the first king, the ruler of all he could see, a feat made all the easier by his habit for shrouding existence in choking smoke. You wanted a knife fight and someone brought a gun. Well, Cernonos emerged from the dark of the cosmos, bow in hand, to strike down the primal king who had enshrouded the stars. Gehazi felt a sting of delight in his bones when he first looked upon his foe, but when the first arrow was flung, Gehazi was aghast. He had expected a grapple, the gouging of claws, the ripping of teeth, but to throw a barb from a grand distance, that was new. He had not conceived that violence could involve unexpected things. In the eyes of Gehazi, this made Cernos a deceiver, and as a deceiver, this meant that deception was now a fair tactic, a fundamental tactic in the flow of conflict. Cernos would not be the last to enlighten the primal king to new ways in which to enforce his reign of brutal bluster. Oh no! Though no nation can claim to center Gehazi as their chief deity, he has served as the inspiration to countless tyrants and usurpers across history. His is the rhetoric of might making right, of self-important dominion, and of an ego that supplants the need of the many in favor of short-term acts of carnage. In the modern era, he's firmly cast his gimlet eye upon Taldor. Since the start of Eutropia's reforms, the nationalist front of the Comolaudo Populi have rebuked her from the far-flung prefectures. Their sloganeering and protestations cloy for the return of a strongman leader. The primal king offers boons to the most radical of these belligerents. God. He's an asshole. I love everything about this. I'm making a new champion. Well, you know my rules about unholy. His asshole's on his face too, God. Yeah. You bastard, I want to try that. Wait, we're allowed to throw food at people? This is amazing! What do you mean we can just bully them? Proceeds to be a scourge on demons everywhere. There's freedom on a dragon. Well, we have not seen his final form. Actually, no, this is probably his final form. Alright, who's ready for the sad dragon? The saddest of dragons. Sad dragon isn't as fun as bad dragon? Well, there's few things that are as fun as bad dragon. That's just Mew. Mutated Mew in a Jones to just touch things and make them moist. Oh no, he's a menace. An absolute fucking menace. Alright. This is Otilaz. The one for all. His areas of concern are alchemy, death, and impermanence. His edicts are to learn from observed mistakes, promote change and growth, accept the inevitable. Anathema is to seek immortality or enlightenment, become stagnant, believe yourself a learned master. Yeah, no, we're gonna go for their relation to Phrasma. Can we just call it Goop? See, the one of all was never born. and thus will forever be untarnished by the fallibility that any existence would inevitably bring. It's held eternally in the memory of Sashalatu as the purest of her clutch, as the one who would have graced creation and brought meaning to all that could be seen. The name she had chosen for the ill-fated soul that Dahak brought crashing down upon the head of Apsu was to be Otalaz, and Otalaz was to be perfect. In the fickle nature of the inevitable, Otalaz was not born, yet Otalaz does exist. Its quintessence stirred despite its material form being brutalized and cast limp upon the horrified visage of Apsu. It watched as Dahak gnawed upon one of its arid limbs and spat cursed words in a language that rattled the firmament and pulled fraying threads upon the dark tapestry. Otalaz looked upon its corpse, and it felt enlightened. It knew it was meant to exist. It knew its material form held meaning. It invoked horror in a father, sorrow in a mother, and that it was known to be catalyst for both to its sibling. It wondered why such internal powers could feel this way towards something that never was, and in contemplation of this truth, it glimpsed enlightenment upon the nature of impermanence. Otalaz dwells now on the periphery of all things that fade and rot, defined by its relation to those who bore it and that which saw it never made. The one of all is a chill touch of entropy, the warmth of an infant's first loss, and the cruel sting of a limb severed. In this modern age, Otalaz is known primarily in Geb, its worship brought by the adherents of the Ravener, Karamoros, who fled Zim-Grafar upon the return of Tar-Baphon. Sacred texts, now known by students of the Ebon Mausoleum as the Sorrows of Sashalatu, remain as some of the scant few pieces of lore concerning Otalaz within the mortal universe. Something else. Now, here's the fun part. But beyond the Veil of Death, Otalaz is a presence that haunts the Boneyard, well known to the psychopomps and a source of corrupting doubt to their ranks. When a psychopomp wavers in its purpose, it gazes upon Otalaz in the corner of their vision, their masks sundered, and their damnation as a Sakal is all but inevitable. Otalaz does not seem to deal such harm with intention, but rather by presence alone it coaxes a sense of futility and oblivion-seeking despair within the very quintessence of all but the most resolute of ushers. It's unknown why Pharasma tolerates the presence of the one of all, but some of the Yamarajas postulate that the two are intertwined, with Otalaz as an entropic constant, a single thread on the tapestry of existence which, if pulled, might bring about its unraveling. Dude's just a fucking menace! I saw an albino child and now I need to harm souls. Look! I know for a fact there is at least one child which endures so much violence. So... Dude's just vibing, but the vibes are harsh, so look. It was just like, yeah, it's there, I can't... But yes, someone did mention the Orphan of Cause. I definitely get that vibe from him. Some of the dragons in here do seem to be inspired by the Soulsborne games. Just don't look at it. But I do like the idea that, oh god, his tail actually goes through his body. Cool! Did not notice that the first time. Never seen a more possible dragon. Well, it's worse, because he's like a dragon of alchemy as well. Alright, are we ready to see Mom? You kick it far with the eyes and then look down at its back. It was always there. Alright, let's go check out Mom. Sashalatu, the Thundering Song. And there's our mom dragon. What? Right? But no, look, for Warframe enjoyers, it looks like an aura worm, right? Like, absolutely an aura worm. She is the Thundering Song. Her areas of concern are dragons, potential, and reality itself. The Pathos claims her dead giveaway, right? Edicts. Feel privileged to witness wonders of creation. Find value in being changed to better know yourself. Anathema. Change yourself for another. Be consumed by temporary things. Let others define your soul. Sacred animal is all. And has no sacred colors. Define font is harm or heal. Can choose holy or unholy. Divine skill is arcana. Favorite weapon is jaws or slings. Wizard dragon? Oh god, it's almost at 8 p.m. already. Alright. But yeah, that's the mom dragon. Alright, well. Moving on. Turvu, the Shifting Plane. Oh, there we go. There's a snake-like jaw for you. Oh, actually, no. Sauron. The pterodactyl dude. But I don't want to cure... Yes, thank you. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. Areas of concern, death of ego, divinity, philosophy. Edicts are to travel and explore the world and other planes, seek to understand all sides of a conflict. Anathema is to deem anything purely good or evil without first seeking context. Remain stagnant in the pursuit of exploration or knowledge. Can choose holy or unholy religion. The centrist dragon. Now, I think people on the left side of this conflict are just as bad. Could absolutely see Brazori just being like, what the fuck are you talking about? Although Turvu doesn't actively seek to involve himself in mortal struggles, they've amassed a small following. Effigies of Turvu can be found on nearly every plane, though most prominently in Hongol on the continent of Tianjia. Most dragons who follow Turvu tend to be explorers or those on the outskirts of society. Okay, so I saw the trailer for Divinity earlier. It's definitely something else. And I know there was a lot of people who were like, wait, they're showing this live on stream where anyone can see it? Okay. On the opposite end of the scale, some have taken Turvu's views on divinity mean that one must seek out various forces of power and master them all. Yay. So he's an explorer. I can get behind that. A being that exists beyond the binary believes Turvu's very consciousness spans multiple planes of existence, defying the conventional laws of space and time. Yeah, okay. Alright. Last of the dragons. The dragon gods. Paizo, please. Pronunciation guides. Luma? I think Yumla? The living page, areas of concern, knowledge, magic, self-acceptance. Uniques are to celebrate your victories and losses, embrace your unique strengths and innate gifts, nurture the flame of acceptance and knowledge in others. So many dragon gods fucking nerds. Anathema, intentionally mislead people away from understanding themselves, repeatedly deny who you are, treat your gifts as a curse. Okay, well, let's... Aw, but... I like her, though. Illuma? Illuma. I'd say that's about right. It's the reason they traveled. A lot of them do have Arcana as a divine skill though. Gotta love that D12 spell. Well, gotta cast Sudden Thunder on someone. What is it? Oh god, I can't remember it now. Yeah, more than her kin, Yulma wielded magic with power. Magical currents coursed through her body, filling her frame with the power to raise mountains and level entire plains. Oh, cool! Yet each awe-inspiring act came at an incredible cost. With each miraculous feat, Yulma's form changed, becoming less distinct and whole. She's coming apart. Yulma shared her fears with her father, but the Waybreaker could do nothing to stop this change. He confided that in Yulma, he could see a fragment of Sashalatu's infinity. Yulma's body, no matter how powerful, would eventually be torn at the seams, unable to contain her mother's unbound vastness, and so Yulma vowed to seek out Sashalatu, hoping that her mother would help her get rid of such a curse. She traveled far and wide across the edges of creation. Her frame, pulled and stretched by the trials she faced, seemed on the verge of collapse when she finally reached her mother's lonely refuge. She gazed upon her divine mother, trying to take in all her vastness and power. Yulma looked at herself, feeling the soreness of her powerful muscles, tired and aching after a long journey. She traced the scars left by her battles, remembering how she bested all those who opposed her using her gifts, and she understood. So she returned to her kin, her body a monument to her triumphs and failures. She etched her knowledge and insights on her scales, giving her body a new shape, a magical frame that kept herself whole. Yulma's careful talons now shape the form of each arcane dragon, taking care to enshrine their essence within patterns of their scales to make sure that they do not struggle as she struggled. That's beautiful! Like, I like Brazori, but that's fucking beautiful. Her body is magically enhanced and not blown up. Yeah. Well, the magical dragon nuke first one albino baby. Jeez. Alright. Pantheons, I'm kind of meh. Alright. Well, that is the Draconic Gods. Minor deities. This being has been around since the dawn of creation. It is considered a minor deity, barely worthy of note amongst the inner sea. Helped shape the entirety of creation. Yes, we ignore it for the most part. Thankless job making all of creation. No one appreciates it. All right. I do want to see the time dragon again. Ba-doop. But what have you done recently? Time dragons. Actually, I should probably show the Barrage Dragon as well, shouldn't I? Hey, so I'm gonna show the Barrage Dragon. Sly warning for holes. If you want a gross dragon. This is a Barrage Dragon. Oh, look, he gets worse. So, his breath weapon has no save. The dragon exhales a cloud of small balls of pure energy that deal 5d4 plus 5 force in a 30-foot cone with no save. Yeah. I do have Alien Core. But yeah, it's breath weapon, no save. It just does 5d4 plus 5 to everything, and that escalates as it gets older. Look, I like the new dragons, truly. What's another trippy one? Oh, actually. Yeah, but that's everyone in a 30-foot cone. Like, it's not terrible. The vested opinions. But a lot of these dragons have a lot going on. I was going to show Umbral. I think this is our new Shadow Dragon. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, let's Umbral dragons have 3 eyes and a cluster on each side of their head, making for 6 eyes in total. Okay, but why? Also, I clearly see 4 there. Oh no! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Oh, so many of the dragons look as if like they're proper hexapods as opposed to like 4-limbed reptilians with wings. I kind of dig the design. All right, Underworld Dragon. That's a snake. We want to get a normal goddamn dragon. He's so cute. He wants something. This is a fighting fish, but as a dragon. I think it's supposed to be the other side of the sovereign dragon. Can we get weirder with the dragons wailing? I'm just waiting for the opinions to roll in here. This is the Wailing Dragon. Wah! Wah! Wrong type of wailing. I believe this is the Sonic one. Yep, it's the Dragon of Music. Yep, sonic damage. or Monster Hunter Fan RPG. Look, once again, I like them, but that's me, and I know my opinions tend to differ from most people. Adamantine Dragon. I mean, this guy reminds me of Monster Hunter as well, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's a Baroth. I couldn't think of the name, but if you take the wings away, it's a Baroth. Just like Baroth, I got hunted down. I wouldn't say hunted down, but Whisper Dragon. I don't think the Whisper Dragon's much better. Yeah. Is a Whisper Dragon. Version like a Dorito. I mean, that's a Rune Dragon. What's wrong with the Rune Dragon? I think it looks dragony. It looks diseased. Wow. Well, Conspirator Dragon. This is not what I remember the Conspirator Dragons looking like. Wow, I hate dragons now. Well, the most striking feature of a Conspirator Dragon's true form is the plating on the crowns of their heads, which resembles a face. So it's not a secret face, it just looks like that. I want to stop it. Oh. Looks like it was bored of wet noodles. And yes, Ian, the Whisper Dragons and Conspirator Dragons have very similar fields. Like, there's a lot of dragons to cover. Have I shown the Vizier Dragon? Oh, there we go. Let's get everyone mad. It's Mama Murthy. Wow. I don't think they're born with the clothes and stuff. They are dragons that just want to make legendary people. If that ever appeared in a game, I'd leave. Wow. Sky Dragon? Oh, there you go. Happy? Hello, Kraga. Everyone, fifth dragon you show is an Eastern dragon. Yeah. It's kind of a fun game. You're very right there, Weird. Very right. Rhyme Dragon? So that's our Frost Dragon. Is there a Reason Dragon? Not specifically. There's a Sage Dragon, but we showed him already. I don't hate it. Well, that's something. I've almost died because of Cloud Dragon last week. Yeah, they're kind of mean. Where is the Sky Dragon? That was the one I shipped before, wasn't it? Yeah. Bog Dragon. Base Enhance. There is the face. Oh, wise dragon of the bog, what wisdom do you wish to share? Me. Imperial is pretty classic. I showed that one earlier. Now we have to make Mata angry again. Delight Dragon. Actually, no, that's not too bad. That's pretty classic. Really? I thought this would be pretty classic dragon. It's classic fairy dragon. Yeah, that's fair. It's classic 90s sticker on a girl's school book. I can see that. Whoa. See, these are the Executor dragons, and I kind of love their origin story. Oh, it's like that because of hypocrisy. Wait. We were level 5, we were told to go into the room, check why it was so cold. We went in, like a sick cloud dragon, an adult. Sleeping, we realized it was the cloud dragon's cold, and we're about to sleep, but a beer elemental attacked us. The beer had consolidated due to cold and began to take revenge on the dwarves for their sins. During the fight, we attracted the dragon's attention with our sounds, causing it to sneeze in her direction. Oh, okay. But yeah, Executor dragons are born of hypocrisy. Legends state the first Executor dragons formed from the rage-filled screams of Serenray during her struggle against the Wrath Beast. In the face of an enemy even she had no hope of redeeming, the ever-compassionate Dawnflower allowed her divine fury to escape from her lips as she struck down the primordial god. And from this act of anathema, the first Executor dragons were given form. Since that moment, Executor dragons represent the full wrath of the gods. But yeah, it is a dragon of divine wrath. If I remember right. Where is their breath weapon? Divine utterance. No, we need to actually find the proper one. The dragon screams the truth of the divine, and it does sonic damage with it. Alright, well, it is 8:30. I'm going to step away for a minute or two, mostly because my cat is at the door, but also I want to see whether I can grab dinner just quickly. I shall return very soon. Alright, now I'm back. Now I've unmuted the mic. Crystal Dragon? Easy done. I think the crystal dragons are pretty beautiful as well. I do agree with you there. Did I actually show the Requiem one? Oh, that's the Requiem dragon. So I'm on the wiki looking at gods. Thanks to the stream, Sneep will now have a non-evil god to worship as well. Well, that's good. Arms are webbed to the body, creating a pouch to swaddle a creature once lifted. Okay. That's a fun thing. Marsupial dragon. All right. Player options. Now, first things first, we're going to show the dragonettes. Player options, put this book down closer forever. No. Dragonettes are a new ancestry that allows you to play as a tiny sized dragon. Right? So much venom. But that's the Fey Dragonette. Now, they're rare, 8 hit points, tiny sized, speed of 20 feet. They're tiny. Now, the thing to remember with them is they have the natural attack. They also have dark vision and wings. Now, the wings by default means they don't take full damage. Eight HP and tiny, and they get some pretty trippy heritages and stuff as well. Now, one of the things to remember with the dragonettes is none of them have an innate small size option. Wings are similar to Sprite, I'd assume. Probably some feats to make them a little better at level 7+. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. There's your homing drake. But what's the close immediately? Well, oh, where's the dapper boy? Well, there's a house drake. I like this guy. Didn't kill him, my character. Ah, there's the pearl dragonette. Look at that dapper lad. Orb. I am loving the responses. Surfy that makes small? Yep. Now, where was it? Covered Horde. Because some of the feats are genuinely good. Reminds me in there from Nightmare Before Christmas, yeah. Claws, Mighty Dragonette, there we go. Well, he is a man of distinction and travel. But yeah, my Dragonette, first level ancestry feat, you become small. Small. You become small as opposed to small. Take wing is your kind of fly. Once per round, you can fly up to 15 feet. Now, a thing to remember here is you gain a fly speed of 15 feet. If you want on solid ground at the end of this movement, you fall. However, with the ancestry thing for Dragonettes, despite falling, you don't take damage. A tiny Dragonette Ranger can basically ride any animal companion, even a small cat. Well, it's one of the things I was actually surprised about. They don't actually have a... Like, for instance, Sprites have the Corgi mount. Yeah, but that's folklore. Yeah, like I get it, but still. Inhale, exhale. Is that a Prodigy reference? I don't know. Yes, it is. I think it is. Yeah. You can ride any creature that's one size category larger than you, just not so efficiently as an animal with the ride trait. Or the mount trait, yes. Or the mount special. We are going to get into that in a second, don't you worry about that. Zip Zoom, you can, when you take, the fly speed you gain from Take Wing increases to 25 feet. Now, I'm not sure if they have it here, but there is a sidebar, particularly with the sprites, that basically says, hey, if your campaign is okay with flight, just do that instead. Find the most silly mount. Oh, we're getting there. So yeah, at level 9, into the sky, you fly as naturally as any Dragonette. You have a fly speed of 25 feet at all times. So at level 9, you get your fly speed. But there is a chain to get there. Now, if we want to talk about I do like Former Flock. A Strix moment. I'd have to check the Strix again. I don't remember when they get flight. I know it's similar though. But they also get things like extended leaps and things from their wings. But Former Flock, 3 actions once per day. You call nearby wild Dragonettes to swarm to your side. The flock grants you 25 temporary hit points that last up to 1 minute. The flock disperses and the effect ends when the temporary hit points are gone, the minute elapses, or you dismiss Former Flock. As long as you're surrounded by your flock, you gain weakness 5 to area and splash damage and have a flock aura in a 10-foot emanation. Enemies in this aura are dazzled. When you use Form of Flock and while it lasts, you can take the Acrid Barrage action. Let's try that again. When you use Form of Flock and while it lasts, you can take the Acrid Barrage action. Each enemy in your aura takes 5d6 acid damage and 2d6 persistent acid damage. With a basic reflex save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher. Initial damage increases to 6d6, then 7d6. Now, this means without a increase in your size, this means that your size hasn't actually changed. But it's an interesting idea for other types of creatures, I guess. Oh, hey, the arrows are like the cosmic arrows. They denote how many actions something takes. Yeah. So, something you'll find when you look at a bunch of Strixes can have permanent fly at 13th level. There we go. Grogan, something you will find when you look at a bunch of different systems is that every now and again you'll see something you go, wait a minute, that's from Pathfinder. And it happens a lot. Designers do not like to admit it. Okay, new plan, human with adopted ancestry, dragonet, and then form a flock. Basically human that just has dragon friends. Well, the thing that concerns me about form a flock is that at any point, there is enough dragonets around you to swarm. Like, no matter where you go, there's enough to swarm around you. And presumably fit a 10-foot emanation. So just kind of let that sink in for a couple of moments. In a pocket plane, suddenly dragonets. The dragonet dimension. See, now I just want to create a magic item. Cloak of Dragonets. I like the flavor of the Tanuki Instant Party because that just assumes that there are a bunch of Tanuki around using kettle form. Right. Like, we do need to get one thing absolutely straight about Pathfinder. It's not a simulation system. There are some things where you just gotta be like, there's magic, there's dragons, you just gotta accept it. I play a Tanuki in my Monday group. I'm so looking forward to Instant Party. I'm looking forward to someone playing a Tanuki. We almost had one for Shades of Blood, but they changed their mind at the last minute. A bag of cats, item 8. You made the right choice. You didn't make the wrong choice. I do like Morrigan an awful lot. But then I also want to play a Tanuki, so... Bam! Do we really want to look at the Draconic Kobolds? It's mostly just an expansion of the Kobold ancestry feats. But I think it's time for me to get a little bit mad, or at least get a little bit annoyed. Draconic Acolyte, if you're interested in it, I would suggest checking out Phoebe Bain. She did a stream talking about the Draconic Acolyte. It's pretty interesting if you like the idea from Elden Ring of like the Draconic avatars and things like that, then Draconic Acolyte is pretty much for you. I like Tanuki out, but alcohol theme is meh. Well, not all Tanuki are that much into it, but I do get your idea here. But here's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Drake Rider. So, for those who aren't aware, I'm currently working on a book called Mountain Order. Mountain Order was kind of based on a couple of themes. One of them was in further enhancing animal companions. So, it is my personal belief that in a lot of ways animal companions have been left to the wayside. There is a lot of options of animal companions. Like you have wolves, you have riding drakes, you have treants, cats, all sorts of things. But once you kind of dig into animal companions and what you can do with them, there's not a lot. And there are some really weird inconsistencies. I understand some of the consistencies. I've broken down the math for a lot of it. Do kobolds now have the most ancestry feats? They might be competing for catfolk. Because I think catfolk had the most amount, if I remember, at one point. Surprisingly. But one of the things I'm doing with Mountain Order for the animal companions is I'm introducing a bunch of orders that have archetypes that are based around animal companions. If you're familiar with Seven Dooms for Sandpoint, Drunic plays an Ursine Forester. Their whole idea is they're kind of based around having a bear as an animal companion to help you as you traverse and enforce order within the forests. Now, the obvious thing we were also working on was a Draconic Order. And G-Wizard, who is currently in chat, had actually written up the basics to start with an actual archetype, including a bunch of new animal companions. But I was kind of like, it feels like something Paizo is going to do in the future, so we're going to leave it as is. We're going to come back to it a little bit later. And sure enough, they announced the Draconic Codex. Basics. Yeah, how many Drake variants did you make? I want to say 8? Just off the top of my noggin. I know you made a Wyvern animal companion and a bunch of Drakes. Now, regarding the orders I'm working on, the archetypes, there have been a couple of people who have heard my early ideas for them and said that having an archetype or a dedication around a singular animal is kind of silly. So, Drake Rider, you gain the service of a young riding drake, a riding dragonette, or another animal companion with the dragon trait you have access to. Your bond with your dragon companion lets you communicate and issue commands to it telepathically within a range of 100 feet. You must still use the commanded animal action to direct it, but don't require words or gestures to do so. So immediately, the dedication is like, you get a specific animal companion. Now, for the most part, it follows the familiar thing that we get with animal companion archetypes, where we have mature dragon companion at 4th, incredible dragon at 8th, and then we have okay. So we have Drake Rider dedication, where you get your animal companion. Okay. So 4th level, you get the mature dragon companion. Okay, cool. independent action. That's pretty standard. Then we go through to 8th, Incredible Dragon, where Nimble or Savage. Okay, and now Specialized. We do not actually have a specialized dragon feat. Rules as written, your riding drake can never be specialized. At least not for a drake rider. Now, to expand out a little bit. Yes, there is a new dragon animal companion, the riding dragonette. You're going to notice something a little bit strange here. So this picture presents what I would assume to be a human. So medium-sized, or maybe a halfling, so small-sized. Our dragonette starts small. My suspicion is that the riding dragonette is designed for dragonettes. So yes. That might be a picture of a riding drake, not the dragonette. I hope so. I do. But if I remember right, the riding drake... I'm gonna have to check it now. Scorpion, Fire Breath. Your companion is a swift, flightless drake with limited intelligence, less vicious. Okay, so it doesn't specify 2 or 4 legs. And yeah, the dedication, anything that has the dragon trait, you're good to go. And by the looks of things, it's also no exclusionary one. So you could also pick up Beastmaster with this. It's either that Sabatender or they're vestigial. But to kind of help out with that, I will say, as much as I'm kind of poking holes at the fact that there isn't a specialized dragon companion feat, which I honestly think was just left on the cutting room floor. Where is it? Winged Leap. Drake Rider dedication, dragon companion with the mounted special ability. While drakes and dragons are able flyers, they're uncomfortable carrying a rider in the air without special training. Through hard work, nerves of steel, and the deep bond you share with your draconic companion, your companion has learned to carry you skyward, if only briefly. Your dragon companion gains the Winged Leap action. Your dragon companion flies once per round for 1 action. If it doesn't normally have a fly speed, it gains a fly speed of 25 feet for this movement. If it isn't on solid ground at the end of this movement, it falls. You could only have 1 animal companion out at the same time. Beastmaster specifically calls out having multiple animal companions and being able to call them back and forth. With an exploration action, that takes 1 minute. Wait, while drakes and dragons are able flyers, but both the drake and dragonette specifically mention flightless. Yep. Yep. I've put a lot of research into animal companions, particularly in Pathfinder 2nd edition, figuring out, trying to reverse engineer a lot of the stuff. Winged Leap at level 4 is pretty good because that is a 25 feet fly speed. It's kind of solid, especially for that level. Having to land on solid ground is a little bit. So Paizo, what is Howl of the Wild? Whoa. Gee Whizzer, are you suggesting that the special for the Riding Drake and the Dragonette should act? I'm actually before I. Yeah, there. Yeah, no, okay. Gee Whizzer, are you suggesting that under the special it should have a thing that gives them a fly speed automatically at a specific level? For the sake of chat, there has been a lot of discussions happening in the background regarding animal companion balance, and there seems to be a lot of inconsistency. Until John reads his own books. There seems to be a lot of inconsistency with how animal companions are handled within Pathfinder 2nd edition. Now, it should be noted, I am the Paizo guy in some instances. Like, there's a full emote for me getting hired for Paizo. But I do, when it comes to animal companions in particular, there just feels to be a lack of attention. Like, the Dragonette is fine. Like, you pick up the right... Thank you, Gee Whizzer. Like, you pick up the right companion advancement things, it'll get large, you can ride it, it's fine. Like, if you're a small size ancestry, then you're riding it from 4th level. But it's just... It just feels inconsistent. Yeah. But as for the other feats in the archetype, they're solid. Flare Rider's Stance, which is a stance. You spend little time in your saddle as you flip unpredictably around your dragon mount, dodging attacks. While mounted and in this stance, your mount always provides you with lesser cover, and you don't take the -2 circumstance penalty to reflex saves while mounted. This means in this stance, you have an automatic +1 circumstance bonus to armor class at all times, while mounted. Now, there is a little known rule regarding mounts, particularly when they're large-sized. If you're being attacked by a medium-sized creature, while you're mounted on a large-sized creature, your mount counts as cover, so as lesser cover. So you get the +1 bonus for your armor class in those instances. But the fact that you don't take the penalty to reflex saves is also kind of nice, because that is one aspect that is often forgotten about being mounted. You do have a penalty to reflex saves. A lot of people not necessarily house rule this, but just kind of forget it exists and it'll just leave there. It's kind of buried away a little bit. War Rider Stance. Your dragon's constant breath threatens your foes. While in this stance, your dragon companion has an aura in a 5-foot emanation. Each creature that starts its turn in the aura takes the damage listed under the dragon's support benefit, with a basic reflex save against your mount's athletics DC. Also, pretty solid. Wing Rider, at level 10, your bond with your dragon has been honed so fine that it can carry you aloft with its full capability. Your dragon companion has a fly speed of 25 feet at all times. This means even while mounted. So at 10th level, you're now mounted and flying. With the incredible dragon companion, especially if you go savage, this does mean as a medium, you are flying. Pathetic. I do think this is the first proper instance of granting a flat speed by a mount. No, because they did have it in Hell of the Wild. But Death Dive. Oh, I just realized the cruelty there. Okay, so Dedication at 2nd, Mature at 4th, Winged Leap is at 4th as well. So in order to keep the stats for your companion up with everyone else, you won't be taking Winged Leap at 4th. You'll be taking it at 6th. So Winged Leap is competing with the 2 stances. That's a bit... It feels a bit cruel. Like, they're all single actions, but Flare Rider stance is a very solid feat. Then you have Incredible Dragon Companion at 8th. There's no competition at 10th. Well, it's one of the concerns I had with designing things like the Ursine Forester, also the Shrike Striders, is because I wanted to have a clear delineation between having an animal companion and not having an animal companion, particularly with the Shrike Striders. Because I wanted the progression to be unencumbered, because your archetype gives you your companion. So I didn't really want much in the way of competition in those levels. I wanted it to be the clear decision to advance your companion. So you'll find there's a couple of instances, I think there's only one in Ursine Forester, but mostly I regard them for skill feats so you can take them instead. But Death Dive, 3 actions. You guide your mount into a plummet, diving headlong at a single foe. You command your mount to fly twice. It must end this movement at a lower altitude than it began its turn at. You and your mount gain a +4 circumstance bonus to AC against reactions triggered by this movement. At the end of this movement, your mount attempts a melee strike against one creature in its reach. If the strike hits, the target is knocked prone if it's smaller than your mount. If it's a critical hit, the target is knocked prone if it's the same size as your mount or smaller. So 3 actions for a fast dive with no reactions and a strike, which is some pretty damn good action compression. And a mediocre strike. Because what is it? Your mount attempts a melee strike. Yeah, it's just standard melee strike. Because with this one, you're more after the knockdown than you are actually after the damage. Honestly, I would probably drop that circumstance bonus down to +2 and give it like a power attack, like at least an extra die of damage. Strafing Breath. You urge your dragon mount forward, reaved in magical power. Your mount strides 3 times. If your mount has a fly speed, it can substitute a fly action for any of these stride actions. If it can hit, yeah, well. As it moves, your dragon companion's magical breath billows around you. The order from War Rider's stance increases to a 10-foot emanation during this movement, and each creature that's in the emanation at any point during your movement takes the damage from it. With the normal save, a creature can take damage only once, even if you move past it multiple times. which is a good way for covering a lot of ground really quickly. Because normally a mount could only stride twice. The fact that it can stride 3 times with this action and do damage is pretty good. Guided hover just makes me mad. I'm sorry, it does. For those who aren't aware, there is a really weird rules interaction, or it's not a rules interaction. If on your turn, you are flying, or a creature is flying, and it doesn't use a fly action while in the air, it starts to fall. Hovering is not considered automatic. So literally, if you send your bird animal companion into the air, and it doesn't have an action the next round to fly, like if you have a young animal companion that doesn't have an independent action, if you don't command it on your second turn, your bird's gonna fall out of the air. Just like, there's some things I kind of get. Like, I understand the balance point of if you have a flying playing character, they need to maintain their flight, otherwise they start to fall. He's still too small to fly without supervision. Like, I kind of get it, but at the same point, it feels silly. And my issue with guided hover isn't that it exists. My issue is that it's level 14. So this is a purely game mechanical limitation to avoid making the flight even stronger than it already is. Yeah. Right, because even with fly speed, you need to try to stay aloft because most things that can fly cannot hover. So I do understand that. And I understand that it's not super common for birds to just kind of flap in place. However, it's also one of those weird rules things where an animal's natural instincts would just be to fly around. Whereas it's one of those rules as intended, rules as written things. Where rules as written, the bird would start falling from the sky. However, a bird animal companion, or just a bird in general, would not fall. It would just continue to fly. That brings in... And this is one of the silly things that starts to come out from it. All things in the air that if they don't use the fly action, that they fall, automatically fall. If there is no ruling that stays a companion, if it does not receive commands, will still be able to fly in. So, there is no actual ruling, because you are encouraged with dealing with animal companions to kind of act on their instincts. However, if they don't have an independent action, the only way to grant them actions is to use the command an animal action, which gives them 2. And that's the other thing that G. Rizzer has pointed out, they explicitly don't get reactions. Which the other thing with guided hover is it doesn't state that your animal companion gets a reaction that they can use for this. That's fine. Out of all the things, that's the least thing I care about. Like, sure, it gets a reaction with which it can, hover. Theoretically, I would probably make it a free action. Regardless, though. regarding the animal companion itself, if you don't give it actions on your turn, then it kind of just falls. That's rules as written. Now, saying all that, I as a GM, if you have a bird in flight, I'm not going to actually you on your second round and be like, well, you didn't command it to fly, so what's gonna fall out of the sky? Because I think that's dumb as shit. But at the same point, I'm not gonna let you just have free movement, so it kind of just hovers. As in, it just kind of spins in circles within that 5-foot square as it kind of stays aloft. Or if it's near a wall, it kind of sets itself down. And once again, it's my big issue with it is that it's level 14. So guided hover and flare rider stance are both aspects of rules that most people either hand wave or forget that are now kind of bound in mechanics. But once again, it's just level 14. And I understand that further up, you know, earlier on in the archetype, there's a lot of competition there. I just feel as a feat, most people would ignore it. Giant bat, is that in player core? Bear, bird, bear, badger, bat. Echolocation, low light vision. Your bat flaps around your foes' arms and faces, getting in the way of attacks until you start the extra. The bat flashes wildly with its wings, making wing strikes against up to 3 adjacent foes. Each attack counts towards the bat's multiple attack penalty, but the penalty only increases after all the attacks have been made. Oh. Because then it would have to land. Unless you're the Beastmaster's Trance, which gives it 3 actions instead. I don't think bats thrash from the ground either. I don't know. I don't know. But it's just... like, setting aside the fact that it doesn't have a specialized companion feat, which I'm imagining because the other ones we have here are very default, like copy-paste default, that it was just forgotten. It was just left on the editing floor and they needed to put the pretty art in there, which, to be fair, is very pretty art. You wouldn't be making it work either, its grand speed is awful hour, so that. One of the things I will have in Mountain Order, we have a couple of sidebars and a couple of discussions in there, and one of them is talking about companions with fly speeds and how to handle that as a GM. Because I feel it's something that every now and again it comes up, and all of a sudden a table will ground to a halt, like play will just stop as everyone tries to figure out how that's supposed to work. It's one of those things where, as I said earlier, Paizo seems to have a blind spot when it comes to animal companions, and I don't know why. One of the things that's been pointed out to me by my friend Dan and a couple of others is that animal companions in 1E were egregiously overpowered. The things you could do with an animal companion in Pathfinder 1 was kind of terrifying. I know this. I built a couple of creatures and characters around how terrifying they could be. Double-digit bonuses to intimidation at first level, for instance. It's just... there doesn't seem to be much, like... I get the feeling there was probably a page limitation, and they really wanted the dragonette in there, which is fine. My thing probably would have been give the entire page, 2 pages to the Drake Rider, and to put the riding dragonette on a different page with theoretically another dragon companion. Like one that gets flight from the beginning, so the picture makes a little bit more cohesion, like has a little bit more cohesion to the actual ideas there. Now, I know I've kind of stated a lot of problems with the archetype, but I do feel it makes for a good, one, precedence. So if you want to make your own animal companion archetypes that are based around a singular animal companion, you can. It's something that I'm doing. It's something I'm encouraging other people to do as well. Because I'm not going to be covering every animal companion. But I think there is some legitimate fun that could be had there. Particularly regarding some of the more specific ones. And there are some other interesting precedences that are set as well. I remember a character with a flying mount making several challenges trivial for themselves between levels 2 to 6, Cavalier archetype. Yeah, and this is why anything with a flight speed or anything like that should be considered uncommon or rare. Rats or cats? Well, look, there's... a boreal sapling. You could absolutely have a druid-based archetype or a nature-based archetype that grants you an arboreal sapling, and you just enhance the fuck out of it. Yeah, cats, you just run straight to the precision damage and you build off of that. Like, you would increase the amount of precision damage. I think we might actually have something similar to that already for the Wyvern Animal Companion, actually. That we wrote up. Or that you wrote up, I should say, G-Wizard. Scorpion, if I remember. It's in Hal, there we go. Scorpion, this is a small size scorpion. It gets bigger. Now imagine a archetype that's based around like desert dwelling and stuff like that, where scorpions are a little bit more pervasive, but have a scorpion archetype that has you riding them. That'd be cool as fuck. A Dune Druid, yeah. You see where I'm going with this, Pathfinder. I was really frustrated by the fact that my animal companion was the same or weaker, despite it being the main benefit of my subclass animal druid, while I got all of that for his free archetype. So, Karaga! Hey, buddy! You've also crossed into one of my other, we'll call it a bugbear. So, in some cases, you are better off getting Beastmaster. In some select cases, in getting Beastmaster as opposed to getting your animal companion for animal druid. And I kind of feel it sucks that the druid, specifically the animal companion druid, has in some respects less options than a Beastmaster. Like, alright, where is it? I need to bring this up now. We still haven't talked about companion items either, and I want to do that before we finish up. Alright, can you tell I look at How the Wild a fair bit? Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These are 13 feats for animal companions that the druid does not get access to. Now, I understand in some respects that the Beastmaster is its own thing, it's its own archetype, it has its own things going on. The problem I have is that the druid does not have access to much in the way of similar things. Like, let's check out the actual druid. Hey, Permafrost. Animal companion. Or explorer. Mature animal companion at 4th. What if druids also had season-themed spells and feats? I've seen it in the past. I have seen druids of seasons. I think there was one in Pathfinder 1. One of the issues they had with it was what season you're in was very much up to the GM, and the entirety of an AEP or a campaign could exist within one season. The easy way around this, of course, is to have it similar to stances, in which you start off, for instance, in the autumn stance because it's currently autumn, and then you spend an action to switch your season, your own personal season. I could see that kind of working, actually. I might make a note of that and see whether it can be worked on. But instinctive support at level 6. Yeah, Season of Ghosts it would work for, I guess. See, I'm going through these. Incredible Companion at 8th. There's not going to be any competition there. Primal Howl, which is an action druids get. Squirrel and Brew, specialized at 14. You could also have a more long-term slow burn campaign. Yeah, Season of Ghosts is one of those. because it's supposed to exist over an entire year. But yeah, druid gets like 2 feats that give their animal companion actions. Yep, Primal Howl, level 12. Which, to be fair, is a solid feat, and it's a solid action. I'm sorry, what? Your companion lets... Okay, so Primal Howl, Incredible Companion. This is a small editorial thing, but... Your familiar screeches and howls empowered with natural magic. But it's just... The druid doesn't get much to actually do with their animal companion. Like, sure, specialized companion, they can pick it up as many times as they like. Well, 3 times, but at that level, that is 3 times. But... Do witches get more use from their companions? The witch is an interesting case because a lot of their hexes and things have external things that work. So their hexes and stuff like that always work, and they kind of level up and they're powered as well. If you're talking specific activities, there's a couple, but it doesn't feel as egregious as it does with druids. Because the worst part is, if you want to be a good animal companion druid, you have to pick up Beastmaster. I feel like druid companion is more of a flavor thing anyway, since they also have magic. I do agree. However, I kind of feel like druid should have the option to be the king of the companions. Like, I feel the animal order druid, the class that gets the companion, has the fastest progression out of all the classes. Because ranger and champion matures at 6th, check me on this, 6th, 10th, 14th. That's ranger and champion. Whereas the druid is 4, 8, 12, 16. So they get the fastest progression out of all the core classes. But they also don't get much in the way, and every other archetype that gives you an animal companion has the same progression as the druid. And before we can catch her with human animal companion, I don't think Martyr's in chat anymore, but they have a similar idea for a druid that I'm not letting them play. So although I do agree with you, the animal companion thing is something of a flavor for druid. I do also feel like if you're playing an animal companion druid, animal order, the whole thing, you should be the best at it. I get what you're saying, but I've always felt that druid is more shaman, communing with nature, and the animal druid should have an easier time befriending companions, while ranger should have a packmaster hunter's edge. That's also something I agree with regarding the ranger. I do feel like there should be a ranger that has a more intrinsic connection to their animal companion. I also don't agree that ranger and champion have the slower progression for their animal companions. I do not agree with it. because you have this phenomenon where, especially in the remaster, a champion is probably better off picking up Cavalier instead of getting their steed through champion feats. Sure, they won't get some of the holy options from the champion, but they'll get a better mount. Oh yeah, look, great uses of spells aside, it's just... Now, I do say all of this. You're fine, Permafrost. Now, I will say that part of this is me... I'm not complaining without presenting options and reasons. My suggestion to GMs out there, if you're in chat now or if you're watching this in the future, if you have a player who's playing a druid like a druid specializing with an animal companion, I would give them access to all of these. Seriously, I would. Especially in a game that doesn't have free archetype, I would give them access to the Beastmaster archetype feats. Probably not the dedication, but for instance, things like Ferocious Charge, Running Kick, like the ones that give your animal companion special activities that they can do, that's kind of fucking awesome. Like, okay, let's go back to the Ranger for the second, because Sabatender did bring up a really good point. And I don't specifically remember if the Ranger gets Ranger feats that give their animal companions activities, and I kind of want to see if they do or not. Yeah, exactly, Sabatender. Absolutely. I'm just doing quick scans. No, they get warden spells though. Stealthy companion, yep, that's fine. Hey Adam! Long time no see. And the companion can benefit from the edge too. I know about the benefit from the edge too. I know that. I'm just, yeah, there's no ranger feat that gives them an activity. It just... I've got to check something quickly. Sorry, Chad, you're not going to see this, but I'm just checking my own notes to see what I have for Ranger in Mountain Order. Feeds per... Ah, that's right. I haven't actually done any activity ones, but I will make a note to bring in some Ranger activities. But this is also kind of what I'm saying when I feel that Paizo seems to have something of a blind spot when it comes to animal companions. Because the precedents they set in Howl of the Wild with these extra activities that animal companions can do, this is fucking awesome. Like, it's so cool. Like, legitimately. But the main classes don't get nearly as cool things. Yeah, I love animal companions as well. I feel like they need more. They need They just need something extra. Now, once again, I have my own solutions to this. I've written up a class archetype for the druid called the Animal Envoy, and it gets access to all these Beastmaster feats. I think there's one or two I've left out because they feel pretty specific for Beastmaster. But all these extra activity ones, I've added them as additional feats to the Animal Envoy. And the Animal Envoy is a druid. It is supposed to be the quintessential animal companion druid, and it gets automatic animal companion progression. So instead of having to take class feats at 4th, 8th, 12th, and 16th, you just automatically get the animal companion progression feats. You get it automatically. I'm finalizing a write-up for it. I'm trying to decide whether I want to use Scribe for the write-up or use properly lay it out. But I like animal companions and I feel like they need more. Though I think we've had enough of my ranting, at least for now, at least about that. I do feel like Drake Rider is a good archetype. I feel like it needs more spice. I'm currently working on that. I'm actually considering releasing our additional feats for the Drake Rider as just like a free Patreon thing. Just push it out there so people have it. Specifically, we are going to have the specialized one. We are also working out specific specializations. I have homebrew that if you have the Cavalier dedication, you don't take the -2 circumstance penalty, reflex saves while mounted. So I have a couple of animal companion archetypes that do the same thing. I think the Riding Bear feat for Ursine Forester, you don't get the penalty for reflex saves. I also do the thing where you no longer share your multiple attack penalty while mounted. Because I also think that's silly. Now, the last thing about animal companion things I will say, and then we will move on, at least a little bit. We have to talk about the anti-dragon botting. We have to talk about the anti-dragon botting. So, this is a book that has numerous dragons. Why does that pig's face look like an old dude? Why do some Galarian horses look like cows? I can't answer this. But no, that is a happy pig. So, a couple of things. This is a book that contains a archetype specifically for having a draconic animal companion to fly, to breathe fire upon your foes, all that other fun stuff that we know and love. There is one companion feat. It's not companion feat, one companion item in the entire book. And that is the anti-dragon botting. I believe this brings the grand total of companion items up to 18. There is more spell hots than there is companion items total. Now, rules as written, your animal companion can only be invested in 2 items. Currently, they may struggle to find enough items to invest in. Face reminds me of Benny Hill. It's okay, Sabotender. The anti-dragon botting pig can't hurt you. It's not real. But of all the options you could have for a companion item that works well with a dragon, the option they put in the Draconic book is specifically anti-dragon botting. It has been pointed out to me by numerous people that dragons can wear the anti-dragon botting, but it's just like, feels lame. Yeah, Adam, it just feels lame. Like, we don't get cool Draconic botting? Like, I've done a bunch of items because I hyper-focused and raged out about this. I think I ended up designing another 12 items or something like that based around Draconic themes. But Adam does bring up a good point. Roar, you can't give potency runes to animal companion attacks nor botting. Now, let's be a little bit more specific. We're gonna go back to the animal companions for a second. Botting is meant to be bad to make companions less attractive. That's a different discussion, but I do get you there. All right, so the only item bonuses they can benefit from are to speed and to AC. Their maximum item bonus to AC is +3. This is botting. Your heavy botting has the AC of +3. Now this means that you can't give your animal companion a item bonus to their attacks, to their perception, or anything like that. All right, so we're all on the same page there, correct? An animal companion wearing anti-dragon botting gains a +2 item bonus to its fortitude DC and reflex DC against attempts to grapple, reposition, shove, or trip it. And a creature that successfully grapples the animal companion takes 1d4 piercing damage. This is not the only instance of an item bonus being given by a companion item. The Horseshoes of Alacrity also give an item bonus to leaping. So what we're seeing here is, despite the core rule, you are allowed to break it from magic items. Now this is a fun thing. Now, the other thing here is that with the greater anti-dragon botting, this item bonus goes up to +4, which is what is considered a mythic bonus, which is outside of the abilities of a player character to get a hold of unless they have access to mythic stuff. Botting is meant to be bad to make it less attractive. Why would a champion want shiny armor on their horse? It would detract from their own shiny armor, right? Could you imagine a knight in like shining armor having a horse that's also in shining armor that like matches or complements it? Animal companions only go up to expert in attack and armor, so in late game they will have less AC than a freaking wizard. All right, so yeah, Adam, I have actually done the number crunching on this. If you maximize a animal companion for its AC, which can only be done through Dex, that's the only way to get the highest armor class possible for an animal companion. It will still be base 2 behind a rogue of 20th level. So a 20th level animal companion and a 20th level rogue, if they've both maxed out their armor class as high as they can get, the animal companion will still be behind by 2. Now, the other thing, the only way for an animal companion to currently get expert in botting is through using the Indomitable specialization, which is from Curse of the Frozen Flame and is for Megafauna only, which gives them the expert proficiency in botting, specifically. I am counting the rogue having a +3 armor. It's either +3 armor or I've just maxed out for their dex. And that's including with the armor runes and potencies and all the other things. Because I did the number crunching on it, because I wanted to know. So, your speedy, dex-based animal companion will still be behind the rogue by 2. And honestly, it's not too bad. Because it's an animal companion, it's not supposed to be taking up the spotlight. When it falls down is, if you have your animal companion in botting, it's behind by 4. Does the botting change size as the companion increases in size? Usually, yes. If it's magical botting, it changes size. Specifically for botting, it comes in 2 sizes. Where is my botting? Gear. I don't know, it's here. There it is. So it has the specific ones. Heavy botting on a large size creature. If it is small or medium. And G-Wizard is absolutely correct. There are non-dex animal companions. In particular, I don't think the horse. But for instance, what you'll find is companions with like the +1 dex. I think that's most of them. The minimum usually is the +1 to dex. They will fall behind at higher levels. And I kind of feel like that's a little bit sad. There are some fun non-dex companions like the Tyrannosaurus. Yeah! Which means they get crit always and die easy. Yeah! And look, I want to see those non-dex companions shine. More importantly, I want to see them embodying. Like, I want to see a Tyrannosaurus embodying. That would be fucking awesome. Hell, an ape. Anyone who has read comic books has seen an ape in armor. But it's just... The Earth Elemental Companion has a dex of +0. Oh shit. Do they get anything in regards to... Alright, I'm gonna have a quick look. But do they get... I do know the Dino Riders toy cartoon. It's what I was thinking of when I thought of a Tyrannosaurus in armor. Oh, okay. So the Earth Elemental has a +0 to Dex. Okay, but it's got 10 hit points. So that's supposed to be where its armor comes from, I guess. It's a bit of a sore topic for Paizo, considering how good the Seraphon are with dinos. Yeah. Yeah, so the Earth Elemental is supposed to be a meat shield. But that's only going to do so much at high levels. Like, at this point, I've seen enough high-level animal companions to see how much they get crit at high levels, especially if they're supposed to be front line with you. Like, Juliet's bird in Stolen Fate. I think I killed it 2-3 times? Something like that? God, I feel like I've been bitching about animal companions for most of this half of the stream. Died 3 times, there we go. But yeah, it's just... Alright, no, we're going to show an example. Because that is a thing I can do. Where's the Wyvern Knights? Did I put them in here or was it a separate thing? I think I might have put it in a separate thing. Alright. Items, companion, dragon, gotcha. Let's grab something fun. We're just gonna hide this away in images and I'll pull it up for everyone to have a look at. Hey, God, it's not a preview. Something of a preview. There we go. If you want, you can detail the juggle trait. If you want to highlight how having a stat low leads to meaningful trade-offs, can mean to lead meaningful trade-offs. I might pull that up in a second, actually. Maybe. But yeah. So the idea of the Vorpal Collar is I've written up a bunch of dragon-based companion items. And the idea being is that it allows your dragon companion to kind of invoke or, you know, be a little bit more aligned to some of those new dragons. The Vorpal Collar, in particular, is for the Vorpal Dragon. And it gives us an activity where it can detach its head from its body harmlessly and then just kind of charge at a creature. But if it is invested by an animal companion with the dragon trait, the dragon changes. So you could have this on your wolf animal companion, or you can have this on a dragon companion. But again, as animal companions don't have potency runes and attacks, they kind of fall apart from doing attacks, which is unfortunate. It gets to the point where an animal companion at high levels can't really do much to hit a big boss. But one of the things I wanted to point out with the anti-dragon body is it does in fact allow an item bonus, but only under specific circumstances. And the item bonus can go up as far as +4. So what we can do with this, animal commands at the higher levels are mostly flanking and mounting, yeah, but follow me on this one. So an animal companion wearing anti-dragon body gains a +2 item bonus to its Fortitude DC and reflex save. So imagine, if you will, Cuffs of the Claw. So they're kind of like little wristband things that you put on the front legs of your animal companion, for instance, like a wolf or something like that. It grants them a new activity, which is something akin to a power attack. 2 actions, they do an extra die of damage, but you also give them that item bonus to attack as well. This is still under certain circumstances. It's not a blanket bonus, but it's still something they can do. You could further restrict it and say once per minute if you really want to be careful with it. But more to the point, when you get to the level 12 and you can increase that item bonus to level 4, doing something like this means that your animal companions, particularly the ones that are meant to be frontline, can still do frontline shit with you. They can still attack. And that's something we can do. Part of the reason I do streams like this is not just to point out errors, but to point out cool things. And so us as GMs, because I feel like a lot of content is player facing, but so us as GMs can look at some of these things and go, okay, so I could do this and that, and figure out how to make things better, make things cooler. Because I've had enough players with animal companions over the years to know that that animal companion is not just an accessory, it is a part of the character. And players want to customize their animal companions just as much as they want to customize their own kits. You can make it function kind of like that feat for the weapon improviser feat, but for animal companions instead. Yes! The one that, I know what you're talking about. It pretty much gives the potency rune, it gives the fundamental runes without actually giving them. It's a really interesting way to get around it, and I stole it for a subclass I'm working on. But you get what I'm putting down though, Adam. Like, this gives us the precedence to do stuff like that. And to kind of advertise a little bit, Mountain Order at current has already doubled the amount of animal companion items. We already have 36 items, animal companion items. And that's not improved versions, that is base level items. And the ones that have improved versions will also have improved versions. Because, for instance, Drunic in 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, he wants to kit out Misha in botting. He wants to kit out Misha in cool botting. And also kind of like give her a cool color, or like the cuffs I was talking about. I'm playing as a Guardian with Hell Knight and Cavalier dedication from Kingmaker, and I personally consider the horse being more my character than my actual character. It happens sometimes, yeah. And I understand that in Pathfinder 2nd they tried really hard to get away from that. Because the animal companions of Pathfinder 1 were crazy. But even like the Hell Knight dedication, like, I've seen pictures of Hell Knights. Like, where's the Hell Knight? Squad? Let's specify Pathfinder. Like, I have seen the Hell Knights armored horses. Because they have it for the battalion picture. I've seen it before. And it's cool as hell. It's cool, troop, thank you. There's also the doubling rings. You could make an item that lets your runes apply to your companion. An interesting idea. I would probably restrict it to fundamental only, though. though a doubling saddle. So while mounted, your companion gets the proficiency, like the fundamental runes. I could see that working. Hell Knight Cavalry Brigade. Doubling rings is only fundamental runes. I thought it extended to properties as well. Alright. Fair enough. Ah, there we go. Though I will say I don't think animal companions need help with damage. I just think they need help with hitting. Though I do want to do a little bit more of a math breakdown and see how their attacks actually level up. Because once again, if they're in line with, say, a rogue, that's fine. That is okay. Now, before I close up stream, there is one last thing that I want to point out that is very specific and going to be very spicy. So dragon packs have been brought in with Draconic Codex. They function a little bit similar to what we saw with the packs in I was about to say Deviant Archive, Dark Archive. But instead of being tied to feats and an archetype, they're items instead. Now when you make a pact with the dragon, it gets something, you get something. And there's penalties and stuff for it as well. Now specifically, G-Wizard knows exactly the one I'm going for. There we are. Now, understanding this would have to be rare. But this is so dumb. Oh, but it's fun though. So, with this contract, you've linked your lifespan to your bound dragon. Your natural physical aging ceases and you gain the Draconic Vitality action. But your soul grows withered and scabrous by the weight of a dragon's experience with time. Once per week from any distance, the dragon can use a free action, which has the concentrate trait, to become quickened for 1 minute. Pretty standard. They could use the extra action to stride, strike, or to contribute an action to casting a spell. When the dragon uses this ability, you age 10 years and become drain 3 for 1 hour. Once per day, you can reduce your doom value by 2. How often are you going to be doomed to whatever? For 1 hour, you gain a +2 status bonus to savings against poisons and diseases and a status bonus equal to your level to hit points you regain from spells of the same tradition as your bound dragon. But the one I want to point out is this is a quicken that can contribute to an action to casting a spell. Now the question you may be asking yourself, Obscura, have you already leapt upon this? I have. Grimoires. Book of Lam, where is it? The Temporal Codex. And there we go, this. Which means that quicken can be used to contribute to other activities like strike-based bits and movement, depending on the source. Exactly. This opens up quickened to do so much fucking more. Now, the Temporal Codex. This is something I wrote after G-Wizard was the one who pointed this out to me. But shod in silvery sand-like metal, this grimoire's front cover features a functioning hourglass that goes for precisely 1 minute that only begins to flow when certain spells are cast. Beyond functioning as a spellbook, the writings inside contain the musings of an unnamed researcher and their many theories on time, paradoxes, and how to avoid them before the writing ends mid-sentence. Temporal Arcana. Free action, once per day. Requirements. Your last action was to cast a spell prepared from this grimoire that either has the time trait or deals with the passage of time, such as haste or slow. Because some spells that deal with the passage of time, like haste and slow, do not have the time trait. Don't get me or Dan started on this one. The effect. Applying some of the theories from the book, you alter the flow of time around you. You become quickened for 1 round. You may use this extra action to stride, strike, or to contribute an action to casting a spell. If the spell you cast was haste or a spell that otherwise gives you quicken, then you may use the extra action to contribute to casting a spell once during the duration of the spell. So now we have the precedence, we can do shit like this. We can start making proper time wizards. Like, Dan, I know, has made a time-based villain in the past, a monstrous creature as well. I know he wants to work on some more, and with this kind of precedence, we can do so much horrible and wonderful things. Now, of course, I've attached the rare to this, but that specific wording, as G-Wizard has pointed out, means that you can use the quicken action to do more than a specific one action thing. For instance, there are a bunch of fire feats, which are 2 actions. So imagine, if you will, a specific item that gives you quickened, and you can use it to contribute to a fighter feat action that is 2 actions or more. Essentially giving a fighter, quicken casting or quicken spell. But this is one of the good things about the Draconic Codex. It's added some very interesting precedents, things that we can work on, that we can expand on. I don't think I'm going to be touching contracts for Mountain Order. However, we are working on Letters from the Boundary, which is our Cult Primal book. We will probably have contracts in there. But I also don't think they'll be based on dragons. But otherwise, is there anything else people wanted me to cover before I close out? Because there are draconic spells as well, but other people have covered them a lot more than I have. Or at least gone into a little bit more depth with them. Pictures for the spells? Just the one. So the picture there is for the new spell Dragon Turret, which is a 10th level spell. You conjure forth a massive tower with a large dragon that's bound to crawl its length. The dragon and the tower share the same space, and the dragon intercepts any attack targeting the tower. When the dragon dies, the tower crumbles. The dragon is immune to all conditions, has an AC of 40, a plus 30 modifier for all saving throws, and 250 hit points. When you cast the spell, and once per round when you sustain it, the dragon unleashes its breath in a 60-foot cone, dealing 13 d8 damage. The damage type depends on the tradition used to cast. I think Dragon Turrets are a really cool spell. You're not like at 10th level, that's end game stuff. Well, this is one of the, well, no, it specifies an empty 10-foot radius, unfortunately. It doesn't specify the point of the tower. Why not just summon a dragon that can move? Well, the dragon is bound to the tower itself. I think the other fun spell that they had is Horde of Underlings. Yep, no, the Horde of Underlings. So, spell rank 3, 3 actions, 30-foot cone. You summon 6 underlings such as skeletons or kobolds. When you cast a spell, you decide what kind of creatures they are, if they're small or medium, and wherever they deal bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Each underling has 1 hit point, 5 AC, and automatically fails all saving throws. Each underling appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within the area. The underlings don't block movement, but they are difficult terrain for creatures other than you. Each underling attacks one enemy adjacent to it, automatically dealing 1d4 damage of the chosen type, and first time you sustain the spell on each subsequent round, each underling moves 20 feet towards the nearest enemy. If an underling ends its movement adjacent to an enemy, it damages that enemy as described above, and it's just more underlings. More. Yeah, but unless the tower serves its purpose with 10 level spells, just summon a normal dragon. Yeah, look. I can't argue with you there. Though I think I've yet... no, actually, gee whizzer, I think with Captain Archie you had Summon Dragon and you used it like once. Because you only just got it. The tower is pretty cool. And I would say the tower is one of those things where I would grab this picture and put it on a token. So whenever someone casts the spell, I would just drop the token. Though at level 20, you're not going to be there for long. APs are usually ending by the time you're getting 20th. Or by the time you hit 20th. But Horde of Underlings is great. Because although they started the cone, they just move from there. Although they don't interrupt movement, they act as difficult terrain. It's kind of fun. I would like the spell more if it specified that the tower had useful rooms like the summon building spells from D&D. Okay, well, not counterpoint. Additional thing. So there are a couple of the summon building spells from D&D that are in Pathfinder 2nd edition. So you would just have an alteration of Draconic Tower or Dragon Turret that does that. Or alternatively, you have a spell catalyst that does it as well. So there are ways to do it. Absolutely. If you're a time mage and use the feat that when you summon something it is you, but in an alternate universe, would that also affect the Tower Dragon? It would be interesting. Otherwise, there's a couple of interesting spells, but I think there's only 2 pages of spells, yeah. Now, to kind of capstone this whole thing, I will say that the priority for this book is a bestiary, and it is quite obvious by the sheer amount of dragons in this book that it is intended as a bestiary. Player options weren't the priority for the book. It's kind of backed into the back of it. What do we have? Yeah, it's only like 28 pages less of actual player options. The first 200 pages are dragons. Solid dragons. The lore, information, and other stuff about them. So if you're considering getting the Draconic Codex for yourself, get it for the pictures, get it for the bestiary. If you put your players up against a dragon every level for 20 levels, you would not cover every dragon. Oh, should we end on the Dragonette one? The Pearl Dragon? doop. That one. The roundest of boys. Such a distinguished gentleman. But with that, I've been yapping for over 3 hours now. I am going to call it there. You want to see his face? He's absolutely an investigator. You can't tell me otherwise. That boy is an investigator. So Myth Speaker is not on tomorrow. We have a couple of players who are away, so unfortunately we won't be running it. I am talking to Dwarf, or at least I will talk to him, and we might do some homebrew stuff together. I'll check in with him, see how he's feeling. If I do end up doing that, I'll go live for a couple of hours tomorrow. We'll, talk shit, do some home brewing. Hell, I might do some companion items or something. I'm not sure yet. But be sure to check that out. Otherwise, we're going to get that raid started. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I know I don't do these too often. There's reasons for that. But tomorrow I have a TTRPG. I'm helping organize the beast. Oh, well done, Adam. That is great to hear. I need more of that shit. But with all that said, I have got the raid started. We're going to be raiding to Dwarf Down Under. I know he's playing the Last Remnant. I'm not sure what he's playing now. But he's a good friend of mine. He's also a DM. He's working on a bunch of stuff. Usually does a lot of gaming, but be sure to give him a follow as well when you go in, if you're not following him already. Otherwise, I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good week, no matter where you are in the world. Remember, as always, we are the storytellers. Good night, everyone.